Welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today. Another AMA, welcome to South Harmon, we glad you here today.
Alright, here we go. Breaking the seal. South Harmon Team Reviews #1, first ever, official. With Blizzzzzy, with 19 Zs, just how we like to do it. To make it tough to type out. You can't track them in the lab, because you gotta know how many Zs. But he's fresh off a championship in a 12 team, start 13, start 1 at every position, 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 7 flexes, and 2 Superflex. So a 3 QB league, essentially. Crazy scoring, but fresh off a fucking championship. Let's go!
Title town. Man,
I forgot to tell you guys the best part.
Okay.
I've won so much in this league that I have enough belts. So my prize this year was a 22-pound chocolate bunny from the commissioner.
Wow.
Did you eat the
22
whole thing?
pounds?
I did some damage, but I didn't get all the way down there.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
Pounded. Like, I'm good.
If you ate a 22-pound piece of chocolate, that's I'm more concerned about that than this degenerate league you're in. Frankly, this is a league we love. By the way, not vanilla. All kinds of different scoring changes, lineup changes, all the flexes, 3 quarterbacks. Mike and I are in 1 3-quarterback league, but that's just, we got a whole bunch of leagues. We got 1. Now, yeah, it's a different animal. So let's get into Blizzzy's team. Blizzzy, so you won it this last year, and basically what we kind of talked about, I'll let you kind of tell the audience and tell your story about what you're looking to do, kind of run it back this year and sharpen your pencil for a title, right?
That's right. I think I'm still in a good position to compete. Getting a little bit older, I'm built in a unique way around quarterbacks and tight ends, which is not bad for this league, but just want to talk about the different strategies I can use or different avenues I could go down and what I should do with some of these quarterbacks or some of these tight ends, because I think I have 7 starting quarterbacks right now and, can only play 3. It's great to have more than 4 or 5 that you can rely on, but I don't want these dead points on my bench every week. So looking to see how I can stay relevant and try to repeat.
Well, listen, that's why you're here. You're in the right place, man. We glad you're here today. And Mike, let's go ahead, man. Let's introduce people to the lab. So this is the lab, which has got a nice little makeover, man, from Sleepier. And we're gonna run you through some of the stuff through the lab and kind of go through some stuff with you, Blizzzy, to You tell us, and then we're going to tell you at the same time. You kind of fill us in, and we'll give you some strategy pieces, we think, if you were looking to go ahead and get this title. So let's run through his team real quick here, Mike, with the lab. So
we'll start at the top, man. It is a 3-quarterback league, essentially. So let's figure out what the quarterbacks are, Adam. Aiden O'Connell,
yep.
Russ, Gino, Dak, Dobbs, Stafford, Nick Mullins. You can cut him. Justin Fields.
He had some weeks though. He's throwing for 400 yards. I mean, four picks, but he had some monster performances.
Justin Fields to round it out, man. So hell of a QB room off the jump, right? There's your list of quarterbacks. I count 6 right now with likely starting jobs going into 24.
Yep. Not
bad at all. Possibly maybe 7 with Aiden O'Connell. We don't really know how that's going to play out just yet. But this isn't a bad position to be in if you got a 3-quarterback best ball league. Adam, you know how much I love to hoard just mid-tier shitters in best ball leagues and just get by with a quarterback room. But this one, you got a couple hammers up there, right? Like Dak is a hammer. Justin Fields can be a hammer. Stafford had a real strong year. We'll see if Danny Dimes bounces back. So I don't mind this quarterback room at all, right? This is this is where I would like to be. With excess, right?
Yeah, I mean,
there's got to be some people hurting for quarterbacks in this league.
Right. Well, first and foremost, to the point, right? For those of you that think the quarterback horde is over, we should be rocking our quarterback horde shirts because in this format, Mike, like you can kind of get dirty with it, honestly, the quarterback horde. Like you can make people feel it. So the fact that you got Fields, you have Dak, and then you have Stafford, as well as, dart throws with, honestly, I think Russell Wilson in a format like this is someone I absolutely want to have. Gino's solid, and the bounce back of Dimes, I mean, man. I think right then and there, you have a stranglehold, which is going to cause people to not have probably 3 across. If we go through and look, I almost guarantee there's teams that are struggling to really piece together 3. So that already gives you an edge with scoring, but then also gives you a huge edge as far as tradability, right? Given the option to trade some of these guys. So I think the biggest thing, though, is if you're going to give away that that edge of scoring to people, that you really make them feel it. So we'll get into that as we keep going. But all right, let's see. With all the flexes, let's go through now, Mike, and let's take a pulse of this receiver room first. So we got Evans. We've got what do we got here? DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Jacoby Myers, Gabe Davis, and that's probably end of list as far as ones we care about, right?
Yep.
Okay. And as far as the scoring goes, you said there's some big play bonuses, but it's just standard PPR, right?
Yeah, it's full point PPR.
Okay.
Scoring bonuses for 40 and 50-yard touchdowns and 100, 200-yard games.
Oh, Mr. DJ Moore. We like that.
Hey, for that, what was that, week 3 or 4 against Washington?
Yeah, man, that was
like 66 points or something.
League winner type stuff. Okay. So
and
solid
with Fields. Yeah.
A solid receiver room. With the opportunity to have 7 flexes plus receivers. You could start up to 8 in this league. Okay, and then let's take a look at the running backs, which, I mean, you have actually a pretty decent number of running backs. Obviously, if you're valuing them in shorter windows, which we tend to do, like Mostert, we'll see what happens, but Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Aaron Jones. We got Saquon Barkley, which I really like, DeAndre Swift, Rashad White. So you got, was that 7 legit backs?
7 guys with starting jobs.
Man, so you've got a good stranglehold, I think, on depth, especially given the situation you have at quarterback. Now, just quickly, let's touch on tight end. I don't think the tight end premium isn't incredibly high. It's 1.75. Is there anything else for the tight end position that we should note, or not really?
Nah, just that reception bonus.
Okay, so it's a tight end premium that it does matter, but it's not like crazy, and we're only starting 1 with the rest flexes. So I see George Kittle here. Frankly, that's already enough for me, but you got David Njoku as well. You got Higbee sprinkled in there. And
Jake Ferguson.
Cole Kmet and Jake Ferguson. So you got...
And Dallas Goedert.
I don't know. We'll have to see what, your league mates value and stuff, but that's something I would definitely like to probably get rid of some of these tight ends if we can, frankly. I'm not saying you can't use multiple of them, but the way that we like to do it, I think if you can extract these tight ends out, that would be a smash, because you have depth everywhere, right?
Yeah. So here's what I planned and like my process. Instead of acquiring like the wide receiver 2 types, so think of like Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins. I wanted to go, a couple really good wide receivers, so DJ Moore, Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, if you throw them in there, and then not try to overspend there, but replace that production with tight ends, because the premium is decent and you don't have to start them.
Okay.
It obviously best ball and the flex spots. You only have to start 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, one tight end. So I kind of loaded up on tight ends, hoping that they would provide a bunch of like wide receiver 2 value, which this past year they did. And I think my league's catching up to the fact that they are decently valuable. So it might be plausible to move them for what they're actually worth now.
Okay. So you think you might be able to liquidate this? Perfect, man.
Yeah, this would be straight cash too, because if I look at WoRP for this league, tight end Stone Cold the worst, and it's not relatively close.
Yeah,
right?
And it's
a lot of it's because you only got to start 1. The premium's okay. And they can have like those spike weeks. It is best ball, so like you might have one of those guys pop off and get you a 20 burger, which is nice. But consistency wise, like in the big spikes, just aren't really going to come. That's why they kind of suffer in WoRP. So even those wide receiver 2 or 3 types, like those are the ones that I'd want to get into. And if the league just saw you win with this fucking massive tight end horde, and they're like, oh, these are the perfect time to jump on them and go, all right. Come get them, boys.
Misconception, man, because you're also deep everywhere. It's not like, I think the one thing that Mike and I would both agree on is I would definitely like to round out and make this receiver room deeper. But overall depth in a best ball league is very solid. You have plenty of options to get in and out of your lineup. I think that's the way I'm viewing this. There's 2 main things to do. There's obviously a lot of things, but first is if you can extract and ship some of these tight ends elsewhere, definitely do that, and then really see what kind of debauchery we can get into with this quarterback hoarding, right? Like who's really void of them and who needs them, and what can that look like for you? Those are the two things I think from just your lens, without getting into your league mates, which is going to be a huge factor. Just off the rip, in my opinion, the two primary things we want to do here. Mike, give me disagreements or agreements, and then Blizzzy, what do you think?
So I love the quarterback setup. Now, you are in a spot where you do have access, so if there's a deal possible to maybe move one of them, that's fine. A lot of it, too, when I just look at it like a WoRP graph, and with the understanding that you won the league, right? We all have to deal with some variance in the playoffs, right? But just as a whole throughout the season, you probably never had a bad week at quarterback, Superflex, either of the Superflex spots. And there's going to be other teams that you are facing weekly that, there's starting a skills player in there who's scoring 7 points. You don't have that, downside. You're getting 18 plus every single week from all three of those spots, and that's the number one WoRP option, and it's not even relatively close to everything. And this was a bad year for quarterbacks. You're going to be even more of a hammer if quarterback scoring bounces back to like 22 or 21 levels. Right. So if I'm looking at it and I'm running this team, like I don't really want to break up too much of that quarterback. I really want to keep Dak. I really want to keep Fields. Dynasty value wise, like you're not going to fetch what you actually should anyways. Yeah. So like I'm going to hold on to those guys. But if somebody's looking for like a Stafford, or they want a Danny Dimes or Geno Smith, or they really like Aiden O'Connell if he gets some nice news in the offseason about still being the starter, that's the kind of guy where I move and be like, all right, what do you got at wide receiver? Right? Like, can I get a wide receiver 2 type out of you? Like, can I leverage that? Really, too, like draft pick liquidity wouldn't be the worst thing, especially in season. You don't have any picks right now outside of this 5th rounder I saw, so I'm going to want some thirds or some fab. I want that ability, especially in a best ball league, to push the hammers. And then these tight ends, that's probably the focus, at least for me, if I was running this, moving these tight ends and seeing what kind of deals I can get done for other people, and just stacking more and more wide receivers. I want to liquidate as many of these tight ends as possible into just wide receivers, and in that range from 20 to 40, 50, somewhere in there.
For
just
sure,
getting as many of these dudes.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, even to running backs, you look at the line in WoRP, right? And they're significantly higher, and the reason is you can you don't necessarily have that spike week from all these tight ends, but by and large, their floors are going to be well below what you're seeing from the skill players. And to the quarterback point, right? Like the great part about this in quarterback hoarding for 3 opportunity quarterbacks to get in versus 2, like you don't have to move any of these quarterbacks, by the way, right? Like if Aiden O'Connell, let's say, is someone that could be a quarterback for you, but maybe isn't, like you can't guaranteed pencil in. If you have 6, like there's absolutely no rush to move any of them. But the great part is because the WoRP is so high and because people may be desperate, like I'm talking about bending someone over a barrel if we're going to do that, right? Debauchery. Otherwise, I have no problem with this. One thing I haven't looked, how many total roster spots do we have on this? Do you know?
I think it's 30.
Yeah, I mean, you got 30, man. I have absolutely no problem with 6. Mike, you and I have 6 sometimes, and we don't even consider really moving that much in 2 quarterbacks. So in 3 quarterback, like I'll move them. I'll happily move one, but it's going to cost you significantly more than it would in a Superflex league. So I'm with Mike, though.
Let me ask you this. So I feel like the only locked in guy that I have long term is Dak Prescott. I mean, I'm the biggest Fields fan in the world, but I don't run the Bears. I don't run the Falcons, whoever might trade for him. So I'm assuming he gets another job and then will ball out because I think he's great. But the difficulty I've had, or the reason why I haven't really moved any of these quarterbacks, is because I don't really know which ones to move. I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to ship off Russ and then Geno loses his job and Russ keeps his, or Russ gets a good job or something, and then now I'm down 2 quarterbacks. You see what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, again, that's where you're in a position, I think, of playing from power. You're in the power position, right? Like you can play bully ball with these quarterbacks. You don't have to move any of them. Frankly, I think I would explore it. But if you're going to do it, and to your point, you're going to move one of these guys, and you could move Stafford and Stafford's the one that stays pretty decent. Russell Wilson in a new situation. Geno falls off a cliff. Like, no one will be shocked by any of that. So if you're going to do it, it needs to be for a price that makes sense. The one thing, though, and I understand your point as far as all these guys not necessarily having the biggest staying power long term. I mean, Danny Dimes, say what you want about him, but this guy just got paid. I mean, he's got a couple years left in the league. Dak, I think, still has several years. Russ probably has at least a couple. Stafford and Geno, obviously, like long term with the injuries to Stafford and Geno looking a lot more like the Geno we expected. You're in a position, I think, that you're okay, though. Even if you end up moving the wrong one, you're still okay as long as you're extracting enough value. So I think the next thing for us to do now at this point, that we have a really good base with your team. Let me ask you this. The first thing that I like to do, man, I'm doing actually a podcast right now about like assessing your league and assessing your league mates. And man, I've been on literally all day. I've been in this lab, man. It's so fun. And so what I want to ask you is, you know the league better than us. What do you know about your league mates? Who right now is your strongest competition that maybe is actually looking for quarterbacks or tight ends? And then who in the league is really more of this like rebuilder type? Because the one thing about your team, to your point, is it's a lot of there's not a lot of these young, sexy guys. So to rebuilders, we may be a little struggling, but not saying we can't try something. But you're probably going to be, cutting your realistic partners a little bit shallow to contenders.
Yeah. So first off, know my league mates almost too well. We are in a group chat that's nonstop all day long, which is a blast. So
well, yeah, when you have the title, of course it's a blast, you know.
Hey, the like end all be all to a conversation, or if someone's shitting on me or something, I just put the emoji of the trophy, and that pretty much ends that conversation. Right. But no, so if we want to run down it, we can start with the rebuilders that are pretty much just picks. And
okay, let's start with that. Which one do you want to start with here?
So JM Wade, he's pretty much punted to 2026. Sold a lot of his guys. Actually got Daniel Jones from him recently.
This team is rough. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's probably got 7 or so.
All right. Well, this is a guy you can just confidently stay away from. I mean, he doesn't really have anything until we get to 2026. He's probably not coming up. I mean, if he was willing to play ball with 108, we could talk. But my guess is he's not that interested. Or what do you think?
He'll hold till the draft.
Okay. What about? Well, I'm clicking names here like I know. Will you tell me who's next?
So next is probably where's John? I don't know. Can you scroll down? I can't see the bottom. There's John Conyers. Do you see that on there?
Trying to get it down here. Hold up. John Conyers. Why is it not letting me scroll?
It's funny. There's 2 that aren't showing, but those are the other 2 that are in rebuilds right now. So Mark and John.
Okay, this is N.A. Philippi we just got here on the bottom there?
That's Mark's team. So he's got Burrow and Lamar, who are obviously great, but nothing much past that except for a lot of picks this year.
Okay.
So
so he's in a spot of rebuilding, but he has those 2 quarterbacks. And he's got a bunch of 25s. Exactly. Okay. So you got a guy cornering 25 and you got a guy cornering 26. Let me ask you this, Mike. Would you be interested in like double packaging some of those quarterbacks that don't have security and seeing what it would actually cost to get into a stud?
You can see it if they're interested. Right?
I mean, I'm not saying that they will be. You know your league mate better. Is Lamar and Burrow off limits, or is there any scenario to play ball here?
Not off limits, but he's a good
happening.
player. Because he realizes he's a year, 2 years out, and he doesn't have enough depth to compete this year. So even if he got 2 of my quarterbacks plus a piece, like I don't think it would be enough to get off.
Not happening. Okay.
Yeah.
It was going to be something to consider if you thought it was worth our time.
I think it's a good idea, and I would love to do that. Just,
all right.
There's not a lot of there is one team I have in mind that we could potentially do that for. But
all right, let's click it. Who you got? Who's the team you got?
So it's funny, Chris McCarthy, the second one from the bottom right there that I see.
Okay.
So he finished second. He has like 4. I think he had the top WoRP guy at each position, but I won because of depth. So he's got Josh Allen, he's got Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, and Kelsey.
And the top WoRP guy, Brock Purdy, Mike's favorite.
And he's got Purdy. He's got Goff too, so he's got three.
Oh, and he's got my favorite,
really
Debo. He's got some. Yeah, he's got. Okay, so let me ask you. You said some guy that you think you can get something done with. So what? Let me just pick your brain first. What does Blizzzzzy think? What's your mind to?
So with his team, and we've talked a bit about this, me and him. I can either go sort of overpay for Josh Allen, which would be giving two quarterbacks.
What does that look like?
Probably Fields, Stafford, and DJ Moore, something like that. And remember, best ball start 13, so the 3-for-1 is pretty.
I would say, man, here's the thing: if you had a deeper receiver room already, I'd be more willing to play ball there. Right now, I think that's already a room I want to help you add depth to. So,
what do you think about if we did? Because if you look at his tight ends, he's got Kelsey, but nobody else.
Yeah, if you can extract some, if you could even throw a couple tight ends to this guy, get to Allen, oh my gosh, say less, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Or the alternative route is, I think he's ready to go, sort of retool a bit and get a little younger.
Okay.
So I could acquire CMC and Tyreek and Debo probably at like decent prices, or at least prices you could stomach. So I could almost go that route and guarantee a repeat, but I'd be sacrificing, probably like a DJ Moore to move up to Tyreek Hill, so I lose that youth.
Where are you at with that trade, Mike?
I'd pass.
Okay.
Big fan of the depth, especially at the quarterback, right? I don't really want to tear up too much into those guys, right? Just looking at WoRP, doing some simple math in my head, it's like you can give up damn near 4.5, 5 points of WoRP.
Mm-hmm. Here's for
somebody who scores 4 points of WoRP, right? Like you're losing out on a whole win just with the depth piece, and then you're putting more eggs in one basket too, like for bad year, injury, that kind of thing.
Here's my like brain thinking here and wondering. So you got right now with Chris McCarthy, the story you're telling me is basically he didn't have enough depth this year, and you have quite a bit of depth at tight end. And my thought is, can we get him, like for guys like Debo, guys like maybe Devontae Smith, right, that aren't like the cost you an arm and a leg like Tyreek Hill might be?
Yeah.
Like, can we send 2 to 3 tight ends to try to land, a combination of either Debo or, Devontae Smith, and add in maybe someone that's not really all that sexy, like a Najee or someone like that, to make sure that you get some solid pieces back and we get out of the tight ends that you're trying to do. I think that's something where you could send him some depth that you're trying to peddle anyway, and that might actually be, appealing to him because he's getting 3 or 4 pieces. I think that's probably the first place I'm starting, and then you can kind of go for there. Because here's what I would like to do for you. I think the idea with Josh Allen, I'm willing to come back to, but I don't really want to start there. I want to make sure you get yourself out of the tight ends, get yourself deeper at receiver, and then if you decide you want to consolidate to go for that big kill shot, you're going to be in a better position to and not feel like you have to get a bunch of depth later. I think that's probably the process that I would prefer to go, Mike.
Yeah. He does have Brock Purdy, so like the first one will come to mind is I'm going to include George Kittle immediately.
Boom.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Done.
Like sell him on the stack. All right, we'll give you some more depth.
That gives him CMC, Purdy.
He's got the 4.
And Kittle.
Don't forget about Elijah Mitchell, man. He's got them all.
He's got them all. So I would do something like George Kittle. I don't know, George Kittle, Cole Kmet, Dallas Goedert. Like those are going to be pieces where he goes, okay. And they all kind of got some youth other than Kittle. Obviously, what Cole Kmet and Goddard do. Send them those 3, and then see if you can get, like a Debo back, maybe a Smitty. But I'm also going to want to like toss in just one more piece, like a Brandon Cooks type, right?
Yeah.
Or a James Conner if he wants to come off of him. Doesn't have to be wide receiver. I prefer it to be wide receiver, but getting a James Conner back in this points per carry league, not the worst thing, right? It's not a big points per carry, but it's enough where that's why they kind of keep pace with wide receivers all the way up and down WoRP. So I think that would be kind of the play, is I send him a 3 for 2 Like, I'm giving you more depth because I'm giving you the extra tight end. You just kind of saw how sexy they were, but I'm going for one, the WoRP player that's better than any of the tight ends that I'm sending. It's going to score more points. And then two, I'm just getting that extra piece back where the depth or the 3-for-1 doesn't seem so bad for my team.
I like it.
Yep. I would
Another
agree.
team that we could potentially do this with too is the top one, BKW 3-4.
All right.
He's a good player. He's got three stud quarterbacks, I think, plus Deshaun Watson if you want to count him as a stud now. And
I mean, in this
then
format, I would say he's closer to stud than anything just because I want them all here.
Yeah, true. But in terms of like a WoRP difference maker,
Yeah. I mean, that's questionable.
You should up tier 4. Yeah. You
But-
got Kyler.
Again, if you look at this
Mahomes.
league, though, right? Like, go look at the WoRP. I can pull it up here in a minute, but the red line is trending so far above the skill players that it's not the wrong thing to acquire. But yeah, he's got Kyler Murray.
True.
What do we got here? Mac
So I
Jones.
classify his as like hurting for depth, but he's got like 6 huge names. And so
Okay.
if we wanted to consolidate a bit, go grab a Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, one of his quarterbacks. Because he's got Mahomes, AR, Kyler, and
He's got 3
Eli.
legit quarterbacks with a not really much depth to add to it. But Watson at 4, honestly, is pretty decent. But to your point, he doesn't really have a lot of depth elsewhere, right? Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson's obviously legit, but then Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Calvin Ridley. It's not bad. But he definitely could use some more depth. And at tight end, is he just like null and void at tight end? I'm not really seeing much.
I think
Noah
I
Fant.
think he's got
Chig.
Chig. I think he has.
That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, null and void. Noah Fant and Chig. So yeah, that's a. I mean, this is I think ripe for the opportunity. If you're willing to kind of push some of these tight ends into the mix. Frankly, for me, that's where I'd be at.
I also don't mind the move to, I really love Fields, but just in the realm of kind of how things work out, right? You could do what seems like an up tier for him, but also include the more pieces, like kind of deal. So, for example, you'd send him Fields, you'd take like Watson back, like that's the one for he's like, I'm getting a much better player here. But then you include kind of the same thing with those multitude of tight ends, maybe 2 of them, package them in. So you're giving them a total of 3 pieces, but you're being strategic in what you're targeting back, right? You're going to get Watson back, and then you could probably ask for like a Jordan Addison type back, right?
Yep.
Like something in that realm of possibility. And then if you wanted to throw in, this is the kind of move then when you ask for like thirds. He's got a couple in this class, if that's something that you're interested in, at least for the flexibility up to the draft. And seeing if you could package those picks with another tight end and make another move in the future. Or, if you got if this is your fab budget for the entire year, if you're running this back, this is where I'm like, give me 20% of your fab or 30% of your fab, just like toss it in. Like, I need it.
I think
we do off season and in season, so this is just this will reset once the season starts. But still,
So
this is monopoly money.
yeah, off season
best ball,
fab then
some
don't
rookies that
really
don't get
fucking matter.
drafted, yeah.
I think the other thing, Mike, you tell me where you're at. Like, I think especially when I see this opportunity, this is one of those where I'm willing to have people tell me I made a stupid trade if they really believe so, and almost like throw him what looks to be his complete solution at the tight end position, right? Like, I'm talking send him Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert, and, Cole Kmet or somebody like that. You can still rock, David Njoku and rock George Kittle here, and you can pick up some guys throughout the year on the wire cheaply, right? And you send him 3 tight ends like that, and he's thinking, man, I have Noah Fant and Chig, and I'm kind of SOL here. He might think like I'm completely solved at tight end, and you have a chance to really like add in, like Mike said, a Jordan Addison or a Rashee Rice. And you can kind of get the WoRP you're looking for and get younger, make yourself a little more flexible in trades throughout the offseason too. I'd probably see if I could get another extra piece. But, like, I think if you send 3 tight end names that are like that to a team that's needy and a heavy tight end premium at 1.75, you might be surprised what you can get done. I've seen some crazy trades happen where somebody's just desperate at tight end and it's a heavy enough tight end premium. Regardless of what WoRP says, they're like, holy crap, how do I pass on this?
I also don't mind too,
I
just
like
from
that.
a WoRP standpoint too, with the way things got to shake out with tight ends. is he already has Deshaun Watson if he's not really enjoying moving him, right? You just go hammer, like you send him Goddard, Njoku, and George Kittle, and you see if he'll move off Jefferson. And that's a 3-for-1 where in this kind of format with the way the WoRP goes, that's like,
Yeah,
all
that
right,
would be.
I'll fucking do this.
That'd be
I
stupid.
will do this.
I think, and I'll be honest with you, like that. So, you know these people very well, right? So I don't know, like, I tend to be pretty strategic if I'm in a league like this and what I'm doing. But if you know these guys well enough and you know that this guy wants to get tight ends, I probably just throw him initially like three different styles. You know, here, you want to come get the big boys, the big guns? I got that for you. You want to get, you know, three guys like Jake Ferguson, Cole Kmet, and then add like maybe a Goddard. You want to go a little more of the cheaper route? That's what I can get you here. And I think if you hit them with 3 different offers, sometimes with guys that are desperate or needing to fill a void, you give them 3 offers, it feels like they get to pick. But really, you gave them 3 choices that you're picking.
Yeah.
They just can decide which one they like. So that's probably what I would do here is send out something like that. So, like, where's your mind at in that type of an offer if we were to send one out right now? And what do you think's realistic? And what does that look like for you?
No, I like that. I think something like that is realistic too, because we've talked a bit about his lack of depth, but knowing that he has those huge WoRP advantages with the top 5-6 guys on his roster, so he's willing to move them. It just comes down to the price. He knows WoRP pretty well, so he'll push back on me a bit with the prices and make sure he gets something good if he's moving off like a JJ is. But he wants to compete this year, and the only way I could see him doing that is if he gets some more depth and builds out his team a bit more, because those 4 quarterbacks are great, but one of them is going to be on the bench every week, just not being able to be played in this format. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think you could also, like, if it gets to the point of, you know, nickel and diming, or you're close but he wants to get something more, you have a lot of these types, you know, that you could move that don't really change it all that much for me, right? You could throw in a Gabe Davis, I think, is a perfect guy. Like, I like to have Gabe Davis in best ball, but you add that to something, feels like, you know, you're adding a spike week potential guy. It's in the wide receiver column. You know, you could add stuff like that isn't really going to kill what you're doing pretty easily if that would help push something over the top. You don't have any draft capital as of now, so, like, you know, that's going to leave you more to the player realm, obviously. But I think you already have so much depth here at tight end that if you can make a deal surrounding primarily tight ends and add something light on top of it from the skill players, it's a smash for you. You've got so many tight ends, man. You got Ingram on here. I mean, like, you got so this is crazy, man.
Once I started acquiring them, I just didn't stop, because in our league, Team Incy has McBride and Laporta, so he's solid. And then Callie has Kincaid and Pitts. And so those 2 teams combined with mine, there's no tight ends left. So I was trying to corner the market a little bit. Like, you got him rocking Chig as his top one. A lot of these guys have like I don't even know, like Pat Fryermuth as like their top option.
Do you think if you sent that it'd have a chance to get done? Like, if you sent 2, like, let me ask you, if you sent 2 offers right now, do you think maybe he could give you accept one? Like, if you sent, like Mike just said, right? You hit him with Njoku, Kittle, and Goddard for Jettis, and then you hit him with another one. Like, what do you think for the second one here, Mike? Like, Jake Ferguson, Ingram, and Goddard?
The mids, yeah. Let's send the mids.
Yeah. And then
maybe Komet instead, and I'd rather hold on to Jake just because I got Dak. You know.
Okay. Oh, there you go. Yeah. That's a good point. So you got Cole Komet and Fields too, though.
Yeah,
but Fields is gonna be gone. Yeah.
Come on, Adam.
Come on. I'm just looking at jerseys. Yeah, that's definitely.
But then he's got Caleb Williams.
No, but I mean, you got. Yeah, I think I would send. Yeah, I would do that too. Cole Komet. Evan Ingram and Goddard.
Yeah.
And then what do you think you need back here? Like Rashi, or you think he won't come off Rashi because he's got the Mahomes stack?
Yeah, he loves him.
What about, would he rather come off Jordan Addison then? Like, to me, they're pretty close.
If he's giving up Jefferson, probably wants to keep him, but I know he's been
I'm saying-
shopping him a bit.
No, I'm saying
because
if you go, you give him two options here, right? Like obviously, if you could get that high end tight ends, remove all those for Jefferson, great. But some people are so damn attached to a guy like Jefferson. You hit him with the second option, like all right, you get 3 tight ends. We'll lessen the blow. It's not going to be Jefferson, but we'll get Addison. And what do you think you would need as the other piece there, Mike? Or are you comfortable just grabbing that?
I'm comfortable with the first one with the Jefferson thing, but if you were going to do the mids, like I'm comfortable going Jordan Addison or Rashee Rice, whichever one he wanted, and then just throwing in a toss-in wide receiver.
Yeah, like a Hollywood?
Yeah, that'd be perfect, but might be asking too much.
Yeah,
I was going to get even crustier.
You could maybe even hit. What do you think, Wandale?
Yeah, like Wandale would be fine.
Shakir.
Jalen Hyatt, if that's his like flavor, he wants to get rid of him.
I feel like you got that's probably the next tier of guys, right? Jalen Hyatt, Wandale,
right.
J-Mo and Hollywood are going to be too high. I'm not really all that interested in Mims. Yeah,
maybe a Ridley if he hates him. I doubt it though.
I kind of doubt it too.
Khalil Shakir would be like my last resort.
I think he'd be the third. Or what about? I'm kind of cool on Gallup. Yeah, you could do it.
I could do it though in a best ball league that I got enough roster spots.
I think that's what I would do, man. You pick
myself into the Dak Gallup like 1 week, 2 weeks a year.
In the mid one, right? So you offer Jake Ferguson, not Jake Ferguson, Cole Kmet, Dallas Goedert, and then you offer who's the other one? Evan Ingram, and then you add your pick of those 4 guys, right? Whichever one you like best between Gallup, Shakir, Jalen Hyatt, and Wandale, and then I'd even hit him like. Be willing to exchange out Wandale for a couple guys if that's close. Kind of put the ball in his court and make it like I'm really doing you a solid here. So let's get something done.
And that one's for Addison.
I would say Addison, and then you pick your favorite of the 4, like between Hyatt, Wandale, and then or Shakir and Gallup, and then you're kind of flexible to take any one of those guys. You just want to get that extra body back at receiver.
Yep.
I think I would send that out and kind of let them marinate on that, and then we can probably look at a couple other teams here and see what we got cooking.
There was one more that caught my eye as far as teams when I was looking at this.
Okay.
The Cody Jernigan.
I was looking at his team too. That's what I just clicked on. That's funny. He's got a lot of. Amon-Ra, Waddle, Ayuk.
He doesn't have his first in 25 either.
Got 104 and 109. Okay.
So I don't know if he's like thinking about getting it back, but if the way it's constructed right now, this guy like needs pieces before he gives somebody a 101 because he has one quarterback.
All he has is Tua.
I mean, he's got the 104, but if this league's like worth its salt, the first 3 picks are all going to be quarterbacks.
He just traded yesterday. He had Jordan Love, and he moved him for the 104 and the 109.
Ooh. With this team, that's kind of ballsy, though.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess though, like, I wouldn't have been what I would want to do. I get it, though. If they really take all the quarterbacks, you could get a Marv, but I don't know. I wouldn't have wanted to get that risky, man.
Yeah, it was interesting. Interesting move.
Well, okay. With that being said,
off the surface, he's loaded at wide receivers.
Right.
Like, absolutely stacked at wide receivers. No quarterbacks whatsoever. He's got Mark Andrews at tight end, so that's nice. A couple, 4 nice running backs, but no 25 first. He's got those 2 first this year. So he's going to add 2 more pieces to it, which they don't look like they're going to be quarterbacks, or they shouldn't be quarterbacks in this league, right? Drake May goes in the top 5. He should be the 103 regardless.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels goes in the top 10. He should be the 102. No question about it. And then
Marv
would fall to 4. But, yeah. Right. But so he's already got a stacked wide receiver room. But there is a scenario, right? Somebody else does something crazy, like he gets a second quarterback, but he still needs 3 or 4. Well, and he's not rocking his 25 first, which would, if I was that manager, I'd be like, shit, like I kind of got to figure out a way to be competitive. I don't want to give somebody a real early pick in 25 with this no QB setup that I got rolling here. So
well, that's where I was going to ask. How did this guy do? How did Cody do last year in the league?
He finished 4th, and that was with. So he had Burrow, He ended up moving him after the injury for Tua and a piece or something like that. So he finished the season with Love and Tua, and that really held him back. He had like his third Superflex spot was a guy scoring 10 points because he's not that deep either.
Well,
CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra.
he's really deep at receiver, but if you just look at WoRP again, it doesn't. It's not gonna make up for the quarterback loss.
Yeah. So, sorry, I meant like his overall team is not
Yeah.
deep.
Fair.
His starting 13 is like looks pretty sexy, but outside of the QB spots right now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what held him back. He'd have some massive weeks with Brees and CD, but
so you have some
really bad weeks.
You have some pretty good discourse with this guy. You said everybody in the league. So the only thing that concerns me, like this is one that I think is probably right for a deal. The only thing that's concerning me is the way he's kind of haphazardly moving off quarterbacks. I don't know that he's really going to be valuing him. What's his What have you been discussing, and like what do you think could get done with him here? Look at that grin! Look at that grin, man.
He's tough to trade with.
He's a slim-mo if you're out there.
He's one of those that like when he has a guy, he's the best. Like he told everyone yesterday that CeeDee Lamb's the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty, which
Fizzle, is that you?
After but like to throw him above Jefferson and Chase. Chase is like kind of get it after the past couple of years, but
Fizzle
once he gets the guy, he's the greatest. And then
I mean, that's a lot of people, right? The guy on my team
Yeah.
is worth an extra second, and on your team
Yeah.
he's not. I mean,
Yep.
so but you're saying that you think he overvalues the receiver position. I would say it clearly looks like that, and he's
100%.
saying his guys are more valuable than the other ones. So you're saying that realistically, a move a quarterback to him probably isn't going to happen right now. It'd be down the road when he realizes he needs one.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay.
Especially after the rookie draft, because if 103, or if 101, 2, and 3 go 3 quarterbacks, and he's not, I say stuck with Marv as if it's a bad thing, but then he's really in trouble and can't compete at all next year, which I know he wants to.
Does he feel like he needs depth as far as tight ends go? Like he's got Andrews obviously, or is he one of the guys that just thinks like I can put Andrews there and it's good?
Yeah, he's more of that type. He traded Pitts away.
All right, well then, I mean, just I don't know, Mike. You tell me. I'm feeling like this is kind of a not necessarily the avenue for you currently. He's also got Tucker Kraft in there.
That's still one of those teams. Like when I look at it, I still send offers out, even though they probably won't.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm just saying it sounds like I would. What I would do is I would send some things, kind of see if I get his brain churning. But I wouldn't invest too much time if he's going to tell you to kick rocks on some of these quarterbacks that have clear value and he's not going to value.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, what are you thinking? Are you going to send out tight ends for receivers, or are you going to do more of the quarterback thing? Like, hey, dude, you don't have a 25 first. Like, you want to act like you don't need quarterbacks, that's fine. But here,
I would try it, but if I'm gonna send a quarterback, like I'm going to the tippy top, right? Like I'll send a tight end and a quarterback, and then I'm like, hey, I need CD back, or I need Amon-Ra, or I need
Ayuk.
You know, if we get I need more than Ayuk.
Well, Ayuk plus, yeah. I'm talking Ayuk and maybe
Terry McLaurin or something.
There you go. Yep, Terry.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If we're gonna do this deal, like, and I'm giving you a quarterback,
Ayuk can. I don't know about Godwin. I don't know if that's quite high enough.
So that'd probably be something that looks like, I'll give you Stafford and, Njoku or Kittle or whatever, but I need Ayuk and Terry back.
I would try that, actually. I think that's actually a pretty reasonable ask or send.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? I really like the idea of Stafford and Kittle. So you give him a quarterback, which he's definitely needing, right? Stafford's coming off of a year where he was actually meaning something. You give him a nice tight end to pair with Andrews, but then you're like, hey, I'm not even going to come for your high-end ones that you're going to tell me as a wide receiver 1 overall, but I'm going to need Ayuk and I'm going to need Terry. And I think that's a deal that actually makes sense.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, he gets deals done. He's active. He's just like tough.
He's a little cheap, huh?
He's a little cheap.
I would send that off and see what he says. Like if it's close, maybe you can make something happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't let him nickel and dime me either.
No. I'm saying like sometimes you can maybe, even if it's close, like what if I had it in like an Ingram type, and then you give me some shitter. Here's another tight end to help you out.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. What else? Is there anyone else you think here that's worth like kind of really deep honing on? What about like Brian KW or Trey Carr? We haven't gone through them yet, or Team Incy, or Cali God. We got all these guys to get through, man. What's going on?
Yeah, so we can start with Brian because his will be the take the least amount of time. He's got
Beautiful.
His team is aging out. He's probably the least active, and that it shows with his team.
Holy,
Pretty much
2016.
Yeah, and he's got very limited draft capital. He's in for a rude few.
Oh, he's not. It's not that limited. How about 105 and 106? We can add some crusties to this.
Yeah, but if you look, I mean, he's got almost no starters though. Like
that's where you come in.
Fair.
I mean, just looking at this, I don't know what
he's
going to value or if it's worth your time, but dude, this is so bad. I'd be sending some of them tight end packages for them picks, man. Dude, just because think about it this way. Think about it this way, right? With the quarterbacks going to go the way they should go, like if you get those three quarterbacks to go 1, 2, 3, that 105 and 106, you're talking about a guy like Rome, a guy like Malik.
Yeah, and Bowers and
and if somehow someone fucks around and lets you get a quarterback there, dear Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just explore it. I think Mike's on mute. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know what to do with himself.
I will send any 2 tight ends for either one of those picks.
Done. 100% with you.
Smash it.
Yeah.
And Njoku, I'll go to the tip top. Give him Njoku and Kittle. Really get him interested.
Right. You could start lower if you wanted to, but yeah, I'm good with it.
Yep.
Both of them for either one of those picks, and then you get to add yourself a youth piece, right? Just to kind of insulate yourself too. Which that's a potential to move in season 2 when that rookie wide receiver starts doing something and put you in a different conversation for adding depth back.
That's the only thing about where you're at right now. It's like that I think could give you an added punch that you don't have is like you just don't really have that piece that is alluring, right? Like even the younger guys you have on your team are DK and DJ Moore and guys that are a little more like they're solidified as what their prices are. Not that they're bad, but man, you add like a really young, sexy player or a draft pick to this type of bunch, and you package that stuff. I think you'll be so much more flexible with what you could get done. But it's just something to keep in mind.
That's true. Yep.
All right, so let's see.
So,
Trey, go ahead. Sorry.
Trey, he's stuck in between wanting to push his chips in and try to compete this year.
Let's help him out. Let's help him pick his direction.
So he's got Hurts and Bryce Young as his quarterback, so he's hurting a little bit there. I mean, he's got Hurts, so that's obviously great QB1, but doesn't have the depth there. Some older running backs. Picked up T. Higgins, Zay Flowers recently, which was nice. He moved off Diggs for them.
Oh, this was a recent one? Let me see.
Yeah.
Man, I was actually going to say, like, T. Higgins is kind of the one I would maybe try to target. If he just got him, maybe he won't move him, but I feel like T. Higgins is, for what you're trying to do, a decent potential buy.
Dealing with a Bengals fan here, too, so I don't know how likely he is to
skip
move
that.
If T re-signs. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen there. But, I mean, just like some decent mid players here, but is floating, moving off like the younger studs, if you want to call them the T's and the Z's, and
yeah, definitely
those guys to get a little bit deeper.
This team is booty cheeks. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, this team's fucking ass.
Does he? Oh man, bro! Imagine not having your 25 first with this. Do Lord,
so if I was going to do something,
do remember me.
If I was going to do something with this team, in all honesty, it's like the demonic shit. You know, I'm sending him.
It's the 50 for sure.
Well, I'm sending him like Dallas Goedert for his 26 first.
Oh yeah,
and I'm just going to diamond hand that fuck. Like I'm going to liquidate some of the shit off of my team, where it's like, okay, maybe it hurts me just a little bit in season as far as repeating. But I'm holding on to fucking gold here in 26 because this team's going to be dog shit.
You can completely afford to move off of 26. And the other thing, too, especially with that type of a trade, Mike, where it's so 50, is what do we know about this league? We went through 2 teams that are already trying to corner that market. You got to, you know, come with the Infinity Stone. Here you go, buddy. What can you get me, you know?
It's the last one you guys need.
Yeah.
Right?
I've been in the buyer's market for the Infinity Stone. I'm with you on that, by the way, Mike. I think it's a great call.
I sent him a mid tight end for his 26 first. It's like
there you go. You give him the stack too. Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert. Here you go, buddy. Future's yours.
That's what like people
like
look
it.
at it and go, that's all you paid? But you're thinking ahead. You're thinking, hey, he has no picks this year. He has no picks in 25.
Yeah.
He's got an older team already ready to age out his
This
running backs.
is
Look disgusting.
is Trey active? Like, is he really someone that pays a little bit of attention?
Yeah, he's decently active.
Dude,
I
if
put
that's
him
the
in.
case, this is like, okay. So I talk about like kind of figuring out the pattern, and this is the pattern that I want to be the guy that when the pattern's all going awry, that I'm the one that's benefiting. Right? He's got a clear direction picked. Of you said he wants to pick his direction, but like, man, this is if he wants to rebuild this is going to be brutal, and he's probably not getting that 25 first back. So I think it's on the team that has the horde going. So.
Yeah, it's on a team that has the horde, and I've already seen some offers. So it's funny. We'll like for offers a lot of.
But
guys
the
have
fact that he
posted
has
in
picked
the
up
chat.
Mincy's future 26s is like, oh my god, this is so bad. He's kind of like already thinking I might need to rebuild, but he doesn't. Oh, Mike, this is
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
this is bad. This build is
He doesn't
horrible.
really know. Yeah.
I would send that though. Why not? You'd be like, hey, you still got Mincy's, but here, this will give you a chance to do both.
Yeah.
I think outside of that though, I'm good on stuff unless you can find a way to get T or Zay off of him that he just traded for.
Probably not for a reasonable price.
All right, well then I would just send him that. Give him a here's your futures now, and then let's move on to T Mincy, who moved his 26 picks in.
He did. So he's the one that acquired Jordan Love recently.
All right, so he's got Jordan Love, he's got Kirk Cousins, he
CJ.
has C.J. Stroud, okay, and Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers. All right.
So 2 Achilles, which if they don't come back strong, he'll be in a little bit of trouble because he'll have CJ and Love, so they'll keep him afloat, but he'll struggle to win the whole thing. But if those
Listen,
guys,
I don't like
do
seeing
come back,
Achilles at all, but like if there's a position that I'm not as worried, it'd be the quarterback, right? Because they don't have to like cut and move a lot. But then I mean he's got Puka, he's got Kyron, he's got his tight end with McBride, Travis Etienne, Pittman.
He's got a pretty nice squad.
Yeah, he does. He's got a decent amount of depth too. Cup and Diggs and Laporta. Jeesh.
Still got his own 25 first.
I see why he moved that 26 pick in.
Yep.
What's your thoughts with
110
Mincy? Like, if you guys had some, come on, man, you always flex on the title. Give me some of the banter. Like, what do we know? Give me some inside tips here. What is he looking to do?
He's super active. He wants to win at all costs next year. He just bought. So he's the one that traded T and Zay for, I think, Cooper Cup and Diggs. Maybe got Kyron in that deal too. I think he gave up T, Zay, and his 26 first for Cup, Diggs, and Kyron.
Okay.
So he's trying to get deep. He saw what I did last year with depth, and that's what he's aiming for here, and acquiring enough quarterbacks to compete, which I think he's done now. So he really wants to win this next season. So if we can exploit that at all, he is.
So what does he feel like he needs though? That's the question. Or do you not really know that necessarily?
Just general depth. I think he's just looking for general depth for buys and injuries to cover for that. He doesn't really. I don't think he cares much about position.
So
he feels good about his tight ends. Right.
I was just gonna say the only thing is he's got tight end 1 and 2 for me. So like I don't know if he's really gonna go for this tight end plethora, but I'd be probably willing to explore it.
So
he had some interesting. He had some interesting trades, right? That's a good thing about the lab, so I can look and see.
He traded 104, 109, 406 for Jordan Love. I'm a fan of that.
Yeah.
Given what he's got going, he traded.
The T Higgins trade was T Higgins, Zay Flowers, his 26 first for Diggs, Kyron, and Nick Chubb.
He also sent. Wow, he got. He sent away Jamar Chase for the 109, 110, and a 25 first.
Hey, but the worst part about that, can you see the other Chase trade when he bought Jamar Chase?
If it was in the 23 season, no.
Okay, so he bought him for 104, 107. And
let's see. Let me try to go. Let me
And
just
then
pull
just
up
sold
his trades and see if it was this year and the last year. So search manager. I got 2 screens up, by the way, so I'm looking at my other one. Team NC, right? Jordan Love, Jamar Chase. No, it must have been during the last season. So the trades he's made in the offseason are he acquired Stephon Diggs, Nick Chubb, and Kyron Williams for T. Higgins, Zay Flowers, and the 26th first. He acquired Dalvin Cook and Cooper Kupp. Oh, but he didn't really send crap. Pat Fryermuth, a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth. He got Jamar Chase, send away Jamar Chase for those 3 first, and then he got Jordan Love. I kind of like the moves he's made. I think he's positioned himself pretty decently. I don't really know. With having the quarterbacks that he has, he probably doesn't feel like he's going to bite on any of the values that you have. I don't know what you think. I don't think I'm really looking to give him an extra quarterback anyway, frankly. If I can get something done with the tight ends, I would probably be willing to explore it. But given that he has McBride and McCord, I don't know where he's at with that.
He was in a rebuilding mode last season and did a really good job of buying at the right time.
I would say so.
Like some injured guys or whatever it might be, because he knew he wasn't competing. So he put together obviously a pretty decent squad here, but he's built it in a similar way that mine's built. So it's going to be tough to send him the tight end and quarterback position because he's already got enough. So
Mike, what would
exploit?
Let me see though. Let me just play along here with me just for a second. Like Mike, give me some of the receivers that you'd be willing to go with some of these tight ends and go cross positionally that maybe don't look like. I'm just curious about your thoughts on Christian Kirk. This guy's
Michael
a lot
Pittman, Christian Kirk would be the 2 targets.
I agree. A Pittman would be the more expensive one. I don't know what that's going to cost and if he really part. But like Christian Kirk to me is one of these guys that could be right from a cross positional standpoint. He's coming off an injury. He's not the sexiest. This guy clearly likes to go get his studs. He might be willing to do this name cachet at tight end for Christian Kirk, and I think that is one of these maybe 1-for-1 you can get done that you normally can't get that type of a thing done. I'm also exploring Pittman. If I could send 2 of your tight ends for Pittman, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Do you think that there's any chance, like if you sent him Goddard, or if you sent him, like let's say Njoku and Goddard or Njoku and Kittle?
If I'm giving him more assets, there's always a chance. He's the type now that's like, I'm not
where you at?
I'm 2-for-1. I'm not going to give you a 3-for-1, but he'll take it.
Let's stop pussyfooting around. I'm probably sending this guy straight up. I'll send him the one of those tight ends. You pick like a middling tight end for Christian Kirk, and I think I'd send your pick of 2. What do you think, Mike? Which 2 for Pittman do you think would be the way you'd go here?
I would send him one of the middling tight ends, definitely straight up.
For Kirk or for Pittman?
Yeah, for Kirk.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. As far as like 2 of the sexiest ones,
like which ones would you send for Pittman?
I mean, in reality too, like Michael Pittman Jr. had a hell of a fucking year.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He had a hell of a year. Njoku and Kittle, both of them though were very similar in WoRP per game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I might do it straight up. I think I'd rather do it for, like, a Kmet and a Ferguson or a Kmet, a Goddard, and, like, something like that, right? Like, the 2-for-1?
Yeah.
Goddard and Kmet or Goddard and Ferguson, you're saying, for the Pittman thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you what, right now, I'll send both of those. I'd send one of the middling, so, like, who for Kirk? Is Kmet, or is that too low? Would you send Ferguson for Kirk? Is that too high?
Let me just look and see what it was in per game basis for these tight ends. Like who was the
I think I'd confidently send Kmet for Kirk right now. Straight up of your room.
I don't hate getting off Dallas Goddard. I'm a fucking Eagles fan, but that's just a tough offense, right? Like it's tough to support all 3 of them.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like I think you get off a Goddard and another piece, for Pittman type.
Yeah. Goddard would be definitely, I think I would do that. Then Kmet, I'd probably go with Kmet. Not that I don't like him, he had a good year, but you don't know how it's going to be with, Caleb at quarterback versus Fields. Like,
right.
Still
Yeah, especially
target
if they bring in other weapons too.
But Cole Kmet's also been like
receiver
this
at 9 or something like that, or an early second. Yeah.
And Cole Kmet's kind of benefited of being this super spiky tight end. I think a lot of that's off of broken plays when people are worried about like Fields scrambling, and he just gets this freaking long TD. Not that I don't want Kmet in best ball, I do, but I think he's the one of your tight ends I'd easily move the most.
Yeah, I think if I had to rank them, like Goddard and Kmet would be the 2 that I would be most likely to move.
I'd put Ingram at the third spot, but I'm with you. I would be Cole Kmet 1, Goddard 2, Ingram 3, and then. I mean, honestly though, Ingram, Ferguson, and Kittle, I all like pretty.
I prefer Ingram to Ferguson, but then the stack comes into play. So
yeah, I would agree. I would actually prefer Ferguson, but especially with the stack, I prefer Ferguson. Regardless though, I would send like Kmet straight up for Kirk, and then send a package of 2 for Pittman. See if there's any interest there. Did we didn't hit B. Chrisman yet, did we? No. Oh, this doesn't look.
Yeah, kind of no need here.
Well,
next,
he's not very active.
Oh, he's just all right.
I
don't know why
it's like pulling teeth.
I don't know why I can't get this damn. All right, we're gonna go.
Click Blizzzy's name again. Take his team off, and then you can scroll down.
There we go. See the lab. This is the guy that has the all the knowledge. All right, so we got John Conyers. I feel like I don't think I'm in a league with him, but I feel like I've seen this guy.
So Callie and John are both BDGE guys that I put in one of these with them.
There you go. Okay, don't show them this then.
They'll see it. I want them to have all the information in the world and make the league as fair as it can.
I was being facetious. I hope you do show them. All right, Trey Tucker from CVCA High School. Let's go.
There ain't fucking shit happen with John Conyers.
He's got 10. He has a 101.
And he's got a lot of 25 first, and his roster is mostly shit outside of Chase and Nico.
He also just sent 3 first for Chase, no?
Yeah, he did. He sent his 26 first and second for Nico, which I thought was dumb.
John, my boy, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that doesn't. Yeah, it kind of leaves you ending pretty rough.
Bad roster.
Yeah.
That's there ain't enough blue chew in the world to make that thing good.
I mean, I'm kind of good on trying the Denzel Mims face planter thing again. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like you saw what he paid for Chase. I'm good there. I'd imagine he's gonna ask you for your firstborn for Nico, and I'm probably chilling after that anyway. Like you don't want to get likely. You're good on tight ends. You're trying to liquidate. He probably won't come off Ty Chandler for anything reasonable. So now we're at picks.
He just bought him and likely.
What was
with a couple seconds?
Hold on.
I think it was 2 seconds or something.
Jiminy Christmas! This guy's got all this capital to do what? You know what? I might be willing to give him some players at this rate. Shoot.
Yeah, for those seconds or something.
Bro,
yeah.
If he's taking Ty Chandler for a second, and Mike, tell him I love Ty Chandler. I got like a bajillion chairs of Ty Chandler. I'm good. He's gone for any second. Yeah. What are we doing, John? Sorry, but I'm not. Sorry. Like just no. Nah, I don't know. I don't see a lot here. You could toy around with that though if you think you see a value and he's going to buy the player name for a pick.
Now, he's going to buy one of those middling tight ends for like the 201.
Right. That's actually the perfect move. I don't know if he'd be into that. Like, can you give him? Let's see.
He probably would, and he's also
well, he probably would. We need to send him every single one of your tight ends, damn near, for the 201 and just here.
For 201.
Like Cole Kmet.
I'd be willing to do that.
Which ones would you give, Mike? Cole Kmet easy.
Goddard.
Goddard easy.
Ferguson.
I'd probably do Ferguson. I'd definitely do Ingram, even though I like Ingram, but 201 I'd take 201 still because you're trying to get off in the process. You have too many of them.
You would do Ingram in our format though, with the amount of receptions he has each year. I mean, what is he? He had 115 catches last year.
Yep. Well, let me ask you this. You could tell me this. Now, this is the interesting part. The WoRP per game thing. How many games did you capture Evan Ingram in WoRP in this league, even at start 13? I'd be curious because you have such a deep tight end room with running backs and those quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying you didn't capture any, but I bet you it's not quite as easy to capture as WoRP.
I remember some like 10 catch games, which automatically puts him as okay. He was a top 10 wide receiver or tight end.
Yeah, he was really good last year.
How many?
All those catches.
Right, but top 10 tight end versus your flex, though, right? Because I'm not saying it's bad, by the way.
When he was tight end 9, still like 23 points, which for a wide receiver to get to that is.
So did he make your lineup 9 times last year?
Yeah, probably did. Especially at the end of the year. I mean, put up 30, 40, 25, 17, 31, 17,
Yeah.
19.
Well, I mean, if you don't want to do it with Ingram, I would send it with all the other guys then, personally. But
Probably out of his 17 games, you probably got 13 starts out of him.
you think so?
Realistically,
Wow.
Yes, that's
I
what
mean,
he
had
out last
he
year.
had like 8 or 9 catches or more in half the games. Which
Sure.
Yep.
You add
I mean,
4.75 premium. That's 15 points right there.
Sure, but how many times, like, dude, look at your team. I mean, you have Kamara, Njoku, Evans, Mostert. You got 3 quarterbacks out of those 13. So we're down to 10, right? You got George Kittle had some spike weeks. DJ Moore had some spike weeks. DK Metcalf
seriously,
was
like, how
booming
many
down
times
the
he
stretch.
How many
I
times
mean,
did
you won the league.
Yeah.
So, Blizzzy, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to blow the kid here, but let's just admit that, like, there's other players. Jake Ferguson had some weeks. Rashad White had some weeks. I'd be curious. Maybe I'm wrong. It's me. It's not even that I am disliking Ingram. It's just more in the process play. I want to get more receivers for your team. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
but if you want to cut the line at Ingram, that's cool. I'd send Cole Kmet, I'd send Ferguson, and I'd send Dallas Goedert, and see if he'll bite on any of those for 201.
I'm gonna do that. Also, real quick, because he's shopping the 101 pretty actively. What would you be willing to do with my team for that?
Wait. This is Connors has it, right?
Yeah, he's looking for a haul and a lot of.
But yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
or-
what does a haul
how
look
much-
like from your team? Like, because he
That's what
seems
I'm
to be
asking.
valuing
What-
these young guys.
It would probably have to be a little more depth than from somebody else's team. Like, I think if somebody else gave him 2 young studs, I'd have to give him 4 total pieces to account for the age difference.
I'm probably chilling on that if we're talking about 4 legit pieces, unless 2 of them are tight ends or something.
Probably,
I don't know,
probably
Mike.
be at least a quarterback, 2 tight ends, and something else.
I mean, I'm just off of the sound of that, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
Okay, what does that look like? Let's dive details here, because this is where, like, that quarterback kind of makes or breaks it for me, really. Like, which one are we talking about? Like, if we're talking about Dak, I'm
It'd
probably
be Dak or
chilling.
Fields, I'm sure.
Mike, would you send Fields, Ferguson, Goddard, and
A running back.
that's what I'm thinking, but who?
Probably wouldn't do it for Saquon. Probably wouldn't even do it for Rashad White.
DeAndre Swift?
I would do it for Swift.
Would you send DeAndre Swift, Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert, and
Fields.
for 101?
That's a lot. A lot.
It's basically like you're sacrificing Swift, and we know we're getting rid of tight ends. And the reality is, can you get better depth elsewhere for the tight ends? And that's where the conversation really is closer for me. That I maybe don't do it, even though it sounds good.
Then you got to think. Then you're taking that 101 and you're trying to get into the conversation of like Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts,
Yep.
minimum. Because you're not going to want the 101 on your team if you're competing, right? Just holding on to value that isn't actually producing.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I
It
think
seems like a lot for me. I think I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it unless I like had something lined up where somebody was so in love with Caleb or Jaden Daniels, if that's the pick, or whatever the fuck case is.
I tell you what.
Hey, like I'd be interested in moving Josh Allen for this. Like you got to add a little bit more, but we can have that talk. And then if that's the case, then yeah.
I think given the quarterback scoring too and the WoRP heavy that quarterback line is, if I could buy the 101 without sending one of my quarterbacks, I think I'd probably be interested in the 4-for-1 because of what I could probably get out of that. But like if I'm adding Fields to the mix, it feels like it's kind of a little bit antithetical to the points per game discussion. I'm just trying to solidify my quarterback room like long term more. I don't think you need to do that, man. Go ahead and win this.
Okay.
Go ahead and win this heavy pot one more time and forgo that future safety because you don't necessarily even need it.
And two, like you have some questions too, how much people actually value the quarterbacks in the league, right? Like they should.
Right.
But they also just let you walk into 7 fucking starters with this 3 Superflex league, right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're
in all
coming
reality,
around. Like,
Daniel Jones on your roster to you doesn't mean a whole lot. But to anybody else in the league, like, we talk about it, Adam, if we were in a startup right now, like, I'm thrilled to get Daniel Jones in a 2 QB league, you know, in the 8th, 9th, 10th round. Like, I'm like, okay, well, fuck it, it's best ball. Like,
Yeah.
I got a dude. In this league, that's a dude who should go in the 5th round. That's a dude who should possibly go in the 4th round. He's ass. He's terrible, and people hate him, but
Yeah.
they let you walk into it and letting you keep it, so obviously they don't value it as much. So then when you talk about, like, how's that relate to the 101, fuck, like, people probably still won't value that correctly. Like, the 101, the 102, and the 103 in this league should just be, like, gold, right? They should
Yeah.
all be first-round startup picks. Like, your first fucking 15 picks in this league should all be quarterbacks. Nobody should even look at wide receiver.
Well, that's what I was actually going to say. The one thing, because we're I mean, no shocker here, right? We're kind of the guys that just run over it's religiously, but like I think actually another thing to consider, especially in the off season of the dead period, some of these teams that are rebuilding, getting all them picks, like if they have any type of quarterback with an outside chance pulse that you can buy cheap, to just stockpile that depth, because
Yeah.
you're talking about maybe some guys that don't pan out. What's going to happen with Aiden O'Connell? Like if there's any chance to do that, I'd probably do that throughout the year, just because there's not going to be a shortage. Like I'm not going to have a problem having starters in this freaking league, man. I'll probably end up holding them all if you force me, because there's just too much value there. I'm basically starving the rest of the league out of starting quarterback chances. So even if it's gross and crusty, I'd be exploring that throughout the offseason.
it's funny you said that because, and this is where I still question if our league appropriately values the quarterback. I just traded.
You have
my
7 of them.
26
They don't.
Right, but Wade's team here, JM Wade, the guy that was acquiring all the 26 firsts,
Yeah.
people were sending him their first for Drake London and Devontae Smith and like just Nico Collins, for example. And I sent him mine for Aiden O'Connell and Daniel Jones. Any of those teams who needed quarterback could have done that same thing, but they chose to go for like the young, sexy receiver, which I think they would rather have than a Daniel Jones type. But the reality is Daniel Jones is more valuable in this format.
I know this is gonna like see, this is where like everyone watching, if you're still here with us, puke in your mouth a little bit, but guy like I'm got kind of hovering here, Kenny Pickett, like at the right time, is this guy gonna cost me damn near nothing? Okay, cool. I'll stockpile that. Yes, please. Like I know it sounds gross. I know maybe he doesn't make your roster, but it gives you opportunity to trade some of those other guys a little more freely. So I mean, I'm not trying to act like Kenny Pickett's the greatest thing. I'm interested in that market if it exists. If that's truly the way that this works. So, listen, I'll just say this. I mean, it's not like we need to tell you already won. I think you're off to a good start. I think that we can clearly establish that if you can find a way to kind of liquidate these tight ends into different value, you don't have to get crazy, but if you can liquidate 2 or 3, that already is going to give you a tremendous difference in your receiver or running back spot, and I think that's already putting you on the path to repeating.
Agreed.
Yeah. Like some defense though, like just looking at it, I'm a little bit higher on Evan Ingram now, Adam, too, just after doing a deep dive into it, right? Like Evan Ingram with the 201, it's definitely Evan Ingram for me, especially in the position he's at. He was more valuable on a WoRP per game basis than Debo, Brandon Ayuk,
Yeah, those last 6 games he had 5 very good weeks.
Better than Jahmyr Gibbs. Like he's Puka Nacua played the entire season. Top 5 dynasty wide receiver.
Listen,
he is tied with Puka Nacua.
Correct. And the only my pushback would be with him is it's not that I like. For example, I like Evan Ingram. I have him on a bunch of best ball squads, but the dude's going to be 30. He's playing really well, but it's at a position I'm willing to get rid of, and as great as it was, I wouldn't be shocked if he does not repeat that success next year, because you look at his historical finishes, and that was, I mean, probably his best year. So, not that I don't like Ingram, but I'll take the 201, especially given the situation you have. Now, if you tell me I have 2 tight ends or 3 tight ends, and you know, I'll hold on to Ingram. And I'm not telling you have to do it. For me, I'll take the 201. But I would rather, given what Mike's saying, I'm with you. Like, I'm higher on him than I am on those other three now for sure. Like, I'd put Ingram even Ferguson, you could make the case for because he's young and he's still tied to Dak. But I think just on chasing points and trying to win a title, I'll put him ahead of Ferguson. I'll put him ahead of Goddard, and I'll put him ahead of Komet. Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
So if you could sell those three first before Ingram, I'm with you guys there too. Definitely on that point. Yep. I think I don't know if I have anything else, man. I hope one of those deals get done too for you.
I like the Ferguson stack, but it was a hell of a year from the Dallas offense, and Ferguson was like a .077 WoRP guy, so like more in line with Hunter Henry, Darren Waller, right in the games he played, Taysom Hill for a full season if you want to get in that. Same for Dallas Goedert, so like those are definitely kind of the guys I'd rather move. Just looking at how that kind of shook out, I was like, man, I thought Ferguson would be a lot better. Cole Kmet would be the next guy because he's up at almost a .1 WoRP per game type. But then you have to factor in the situation and how far down you want to drop him. And then Ingram, Njoku, and George Kittle, those are guys all confidently over .11 WoRP at various levels. So
the one thing
that's
is
kind
like
of how the hierarchy of tight ends would shake out for me as far as what I wanted to move and what I could do, talk people into. And I think like Kirk Kmet, Ferguson, and Goddard still hold enough name cachet and youth or whatever you want to throw into it that you'd actually probably fetch more from them and benefit yourself by holding on to old ass Evan Ingram, who's just gonna fucking score fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, I like Njoku, by the way. I've been a fan of him for a while as a Browns guy, but remember that his production was like, not that he can't do it with someone else, but like Flacco basically made this man, you know, the Iron Man. So
that's fair.
If I could move like Njoku for this really, really alluring price, I think that I would be willing to do that. Not that I don't like Njoku, but given what you have at tight end, I'm comfortable with trying to move off of the biggest haul too.
That makes sense.
So love the team though.
Yeah, I think you're in a good spot, man. Keep us posted. We'll look forward to within 24 hours getting one of these deals done and, you know, moving off these tight ends and getting this money back in your pocket, man.
This man reinvested his winnings just to get more. Do you have to claim the rest of your league on? Do you have to claim them on taxes? Right? Like, do you put them as your children?
I mean,
dependents. 11.
Yeah, the pot this year was the biggest one yet, so it might have been above that threshold.
The thing that stuck out to me, though, Mike, from the beginning was he says, like, a lot of times if it just comes down to it, he just sends the picture of the trophy, like, here, stop. Like, you can't tell me if you win a heavy pot that this isn't just the same thing, right? Like, here, this is the trophy in a video
That's
form.
fucking shit. That's shit approved right there.
Yes, brother.
Stamp that thing.
Big.
Well, I mean, all it is all day long is how I'm not gonna repeat. It's gonna be a different year. They're retooling, loading up against me, and that's when I just hit him with the trophy.
Listen, as a Browns fan, like, I feel their pain, right? You got to convince yourself every year that it's your year, but I don't know if they believe it. We'll find out. But I would just say, man, you're on the right path. I think you can. I wouldn't get too worried about like trying to overcompensate for all that quarterback like potential loss.
Yeah.
If you lose one or two, I mean, you're still got 4, dude. Like, I'm not. I don't. The more and more we went down the road, I don't think I'm willing to overpay for like that 101 or something crazy like that, given that I could probably go backfill with some super cheap ones given the way that the market works in that league. So that's kind of my last thought too. I would say, given your depth, and that's where you really have this league by the balls, I don't really want to give that up, frankly. I think that's where you really have your strong hand.
I hear you.
Love the squad too. You have to keep us updated too, like how it goes too. If you get some of these deals done, hit us up, let us know.
Yeah, we'll take that screenshot. Definitely. We'll get the shit approved in here when it drops, you know.
Love it.
It looks good, man.
Blizzzy, man. Maybe after this year we'll get the 6Z on you. Maybe we'll put a W in there too, right?
No, the Z's are because I'm just putting everyone to sleep.
Putting everybody to sleep. Okay.
Got him.
Got him. All right, well that's it, man. Our first Dynasty Team review in the books. If you want, if you're like Blizzzy, you just want to come flex, tell the league that you won. Or if you're in a world of shit, right? You need shit to help get you out of some shit. DynastyTeamReview.com. Come check that out. We're gonna have a league review actually coming up soon. So if you want a whole league review, get in touch with us over there. But other than that, Mike, that's all we got.
This is a good one. Good first one, right? Interesting one.
Great.
And I love the flex, right? Like if you, like Adam said, if you just want to come on here, I'm good. I won. I know what the fuck I'm doing, right? Like this team's good. But you just want us to trash talk the shit out of your league. We'll do that too. This is your moment. Yeah. Your one shot, your opportunity.
Don't miss your chance to blow. I mean, I think that, sometimes you want to see if you can stump us. Like there's nothing we can do. Fine. That's cool. We'll do whatever you want us to do.
Including maybe, Bert Kreischer it. I'll do a team review without my shirt on. You gotta pay extra for that though.
I'll tell you what, we might have an extra column next time, shirt off.
Shirt off.
We'll see you next time for the Dynasty Team review. We are out of this thing. Blizzzzzy to the moon. Peace.